Hello everyone and welcome to this week's review. Today we're going to be looking at this pen, which is the Conid Bulkfiller Minimalistica fountain pen. Now I was lucky enough to pick up this pen a couple of weeks ago, off of Reddit actually, and I was lucky because, if you're not aware, Conid are a sort of subsidiary or something of a high precision machining company and are currently not making pens right now. So they are quite highly sought after. Hopefully they should be reopening sometime in the future. But right now the only way you can get these pens is on the used market. And I've been using this for a couple of weeks now, and I have some thoughts on the pen, so I'll tell you about those and about the pen in general. So if you've done any research on pens that have high ink capacity or highly precision machine fountain pens, the name Conid has probably come up because they are pretty much the top tier when it comes to either of those categories. All of their pens have their own bulk filler system, which I will demonstrate for you in a bit, and it works. It holds a bunch of ink. I was writing with it rather voraciously, and it still took me a week to empty, and that was after pages and pages and pages and pages of writing. So it definitely lives up to the name bulk filler because it holds a lot of ink. So the Minimalistica itself is one of their models. It's the one I have here. It's a rather large pen, and it has a sort of streamlined body that tapers down to either end without a clip actually, which is I wish it had a clip. Some models do, but the original design of the Minimalistica, it was intended to be made without a clip, and that's how it is here. It has a finial with their brand logo, which is an artistic interpretation of the actual mechanism. And yeah, the Minimalistica is a snap cap or a slip cap held together by that green O-ring right there is how it makes the seal. If you saw my Keras Vertex review, you would know I had a problem of unsealing the pen because there was no way to get rid of the vacuum in the chamber. There's a little hole in the cap right there that allows the release of air when you open it instead of forming a vacuum. So points for the design right there. But yeah, it really is just amazingly designed and crafted because the entire body bar the end cap is just one single piece of machined acrylic. Now that is seriously impressive. This particular one has a number 6 box steel nib branded with Conid's engraving, which I think looks really cool. It's laser engraved. And this specifically is ground to a broad cursive italic. Not sure by who. Again, I bought this used, and that's how it came. The grind, as someone who's done nib grinds on my own for a good few years now, aesthetically this one is a little bit leaves a little bit desired, but it works perfectly fine, as you'll see. And yeah, the feed is a plastic feed. It works perfectly fine, and then it has a little metal bit extending from the end of the feed into the barrel right there. I forget why they have it, but it's to help with flow or something with a little extra reservoir they have right here. It also does operate a little similar to a vacuum filler where you need to unscrew it for normal use. It's mostly similar to Visconti's vacuum filler because it has that little second reservoir in the middle where it lasts about a page for ink, and then you need to unscrew the back and let more ink through. Not a problem from my personal use. Maybe some people wouldn't like it, but I think it's kind of cool to see that ink rush back in, and it's really easy just to open it back up, but it is something to note. But yeah, like I said, it is a rather large pen, but it's not too heavy, so it sits very nicely in the hand. So it isn't like a burden to write with. It's just it's a good size to hold without being obscenely heavy. Okay, now we're going to look at their famous bulk filling system. I'm not sure if they have a patent for it or not, but there is an old patent for a system basically just like this, just without their locking mechanism. You may hear it sometimes described as their proprietary filling mechanism, but they didn't even really invent this filling mechanism. They're just, I think, the only modern brand that can pull it off well due to their quality of their machining. I know Pen BBS, which is a Chinese company, did a filling system very similar to this. I personally haven't tried out that pen. I've heard both good and not as good things, but Conid is really the only brand that specializes in this sort of filling mechanism. But as you saw me just toying with it there, the way that you fill it is you unscrew the back knob, and that draws back this rod right here into this little plastic. It looks like a piston head on any sort of piston filler, but it's just kind of sitting at the back of the barrel. And then you keep twisting in the same direction and unlatch it from the little locking mechanism in the back. And then you can extend it down, and then put it in ink, extend it back up, and then turn it this way as if you're screwing in something. Keep screwing that way, push it down, keep screwing in the same way, and then you're all filled. But yeah, I really do just have to say, it is really impressive just how well built this pen is. I have really never used something that's just feels this good. I mean, the condition that this pen arrived to me in is not perfect. Like, there are scratches all over it, and still it feels really top tier. And yeah, like really like nothing else that I have. I'm thinking about doing a comparison for this versus like a TWSBI Eco or a Narwhal pen, mainly just because I actually have that one on with me right now, just to compare similar looking pens at very different price points. Just because if you just look at it at face value, you might not see it for what it's worth, but holding it now, I can absolutely see why it is so highly sought after. So the thing that makes this great as well is that most super expensive pens that you'll see, like the Omas Paragon that I reviewed a couple weeks ago, are really just kind of meant for flashy presentation type pens where you can make a big deal out of them, pulling them out of a big box and then signing a huge contract or something like that. But this isn't like that. This is, I mean, well, the Conid Giraffe may be for that, but this is not for that. This is absolutely like a user's pen in every sense of the word. This is meant for someone that writes a lot, like writes as a passion or as their job, as an everyday use sort of thing. On the little bottom metal band right here, it says Belgium, Conid, and Antwerp. This is made in Belgium. I believe it used to say Fountain Bell right there, which is the username of Francis Goossens, I believe is his name, who was a user on various like fountain pen forums and stuff like that. And actually, when I was looking into repairing Schaefer vac fillers, which is one of the more difficult repair jobs for vintage fountain pens, whenever I looked up questions, there were always posts from this guy, Fountain Bell, who had like machined his own solutions to repairing and restoring Schaefer vacs. And that's the same person that made these. I mean, just a funny connection, but it just shows that the people that make this are extremely passionate about fountain pens in general. And then before I actually demonstrate the filling mechanism to you, my one gripe is it's really kind of tough to clean. Thankfully, if you get the sort of tools to open up the pen and stuff with the pen, I mean, it's not that easy to it's not that difficult to disassemble, but I cleaned this pen quite a bit, flushed it out 20-30 times, took it apart, wiped down all the ink that was left in the barrel, in the metal rod in the middle, and cleaned in that little plastic piston head looking thing, and still you can see it's all blue right there. If I were just the type of person to commit to using one ink in a pen, this would probably be the perfect pen for me. Alas, I am not that person, because I'm going to be filling this one up with Aurora Black, but that's probably my only complaint about this pen. Of course, it rolls because it doesn't have a clip, which, I mean, isn't great I would like to have a clip, but you can get a clip. And if you don't like the snap cap, you can just get one of their models, like the regular or the king size or the giraffe. But I think the only complaint that I would have in general is it's slightly difficult to clean. But it still really is a cool filling system to use, so let's see it in action. I'm sorry if you don't like the sight of black ink being sucked into a barrel that has blue water in it, but I did my best to clean this out, so let's give this a go. So, what you do here. So what you do is you unscrew, like I said, keep screwing in the same direction, and then you can see it dislodges from that part right there. Then you can push it down, and then let me see if I can get a good view of this. Stick it in the ink and just draw up. And look at that. Now that is a full fill. So they suggest that you keep it over the bottle of ink because when you screw down the rod and put it back in place, as you can see, a couple of drops of ink fly out right there. Then you can screw it in and you're good to go. Okay, for the size comparison, you can see the Conid right there compared to a Sailor Pro Gear. That's the aqua color, and then a Pelican 400NM and a Lamy Safari. So you can see, like I said, it's a pretty big pen. Not quite oversized, but bigger than something like a Sailor Pro Gear or a 400NN, which are, I would say, on the small size of normal. And then you can see the uncapped. It's about the same length as a Lamy Safari, except with a bigger nib, wider on the section, and heavier. And then definitely bigger than the other two pens. So now let's get to the writing sample. So here we go for the Conid Bulkfiller Minimalistica. This is with a broad cursive italic number 6 Bach steel nib, and the ink is the inimitable Aurora Black. So yeah, you can see this definitely has a cursive italic grind. Works great. It is a little finicky on the angle, but it's smooth. Whoever did this did a pretty good job. I will probably try and maybe tune it a little bit more to my liking in the future, but I've still had a lot of fun with this. Now, Aurora Black is a pretty wet ink, a little wetter than average, and in this pen, yeah, it's about average flow. Not super wet, not dry either. Just a good flow. And as always, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. But yeah, this is a Bach steel nib, not much flexibility. I really wouldn't try it, especially for a cursive italic. Like, there's really no need. So yeah, this is just a great everyday writer, having lots of fun with it, and I'm very glad I managed to get my hands on this pen. So yeah, that is the Conid Minimalistica. I gotta say, it is close to the perfect pen for me. I wish it was easier to clean, and if it had a clip, I would like it a little better, but the fact that you can basically disassemble all of it, it's so well built. It's a joy to write with. It holds a bunch of ink, and for all those reasons, it's really one of my favorite pens. It's quickly becoming like in the top 5 or 10, even after just having it for 2 weeks. So hopefully Conid starts making pens again soon. Fingers crossed, because I really think more people deserve to get their hands on one, and the used secondhand market prices are definitely outpacing what they originally went for in the first place. So yeah, I think it's up to you if it's worth it, but it's a great pen. But yeah, it is really one of the best experiences that the fountain pen world has to offer. So I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on this pen. If you did, feel free to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and give this video a like if you enjoyed. Hopefully I'll be making some comparison videos in the future on this pen to show it off a little bit more. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.